And with that, we'd like to welcome each and every one of you to the NorQuest Esports series. I am Graves, joined here by Random Minion Caster or RMC. RMC, this is going to be a fun one. We had a couple of these NorQuest Esports series in the past, and now I feel like the stakes just keep getting higher and higher with everyone.
Oh yeah, I mean, NorQuest runs these almost every month, and each time we come back, it feels like they've leveled up. Last split, we had Proving Ground teams. Those are almost semi-pro teams here playing in, but this time, not only do we have semi-pro teams, we've got some of the best semi-pro teams in here. We've got collegiate teams in here. We've got solo queue teams in here. It's a melting pot of everybody coming in today.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just super excited to see how all of these teams from all these different walks of North American League of Legends come together. We have some collegiate teams here with Colorado State being that West region champions, and we also have two teams in AoE and Wildcard Red that have already qualified for the Proving Grounds tournaments later on this summer. So just going to be a whole lot of really exciting teams here to start us off. But for our first matchup here in what is going to be 5 rounds of Swiss in our preliminary rounds today, it'll be Rock Tribe versus Striking Vipers Maestros. RMC, this is an exciting matchup. These two teams have been pretty even throughout the year, and I know you have a lot of experience with how these teams kind of sort of interact with each other.
Yeah, I mean, for both these teams here, they're top of the amateur league circuit here. They both participate in the Unified Premier Leagues. And in fact, they're in the same division there. The group stages are happening right now. There's one more week before playoffs, and these two teams are tied neck and neck to get out of the group into the playoffs here. And once again, here in the NorQuest Esports Series, they get to meet. These teams are intimately familiar with each other. They've played against each other, I think, 6 games this split alone. They've played more before. And their current standings in this split, 3-3. They are deadlocked, dead even. And we might be getting a preview of a potential tiebreak between these two teams.
It's so crazy how throughout Unified and even here at NorQuest, these two teams sort of keep finding each other in these matchups. And if we've learned from history in the past, I think we're in store for a really great matchup here in this best of one between these two teams. But before we get underway with the draft, important thing to note, got to thank our sponsors here at NorQuest College. This educational institution proudly serves over 19,000 learners from Edmonton region and all around the world. And for more information on NorQuest College and their exciting programs, check out www.norquest.ca. But RMC, just as we get into this draft, I mean, there's a lot of really interesting players from Rock Tribe. I know you had the privilege of casting them yesterday in UPL that really stick out specifically in their solo lanes, I think.
Yeah, I mean, for the side of Rock Tribe, they are a team that's played together as 5 since November. They've been fairly stable as a team, and they're very, very familiar with one another. And most importantly, they don't always play meta with their champions. Their top laner, Klonk Gronk Zonk, plays pretty much anything he wants to. He's known for his Kled play. We do see it banned against him quite a bit here. And Kled aside, I mean, he'll play things like Trundle on the top lane. He'll play things like Sion, whether or not they're in or out of meta. I believe right now he's on a bit of a Mundo kick, so I wouldn't be surprised to see that. Their mid laner, Pause 2, he's a Zoe, I don't want to say one trick. He's, again, another guy who has a pretty deep champion pool, but he's known for his Zoe. So that's another thing that I would think might see banned here away from Pause 2. And those are their solo laners. Their bot lane's really solid as well. Vark and Trivia Boy, they're not as flashy. They usually play utility for the team, whether it be engage, whether it just be, shielding, support. Ashe is something that Vark has been playing quite a bit of as well. Filling that utility role. And I expect to continue seeing that here, where the solo lanes will be the focus of a lot of their play.
Yeah, and on the other side, we have their opponents in Striking Vipers Maestros, and this is a team that has looked a little bit less consistent in regards to their roster. Not in terms of their play, but just considering that a lot of their players are kind of new and or get rotated in and out a little bit more than Rock Tribe does. They're playing with Ethan Viper today in the top lane and Phoenix in the mid lane, who I think will be on this team for the first time. So RMC, it's a little bit unpredictable to see how this team's going to shape out, but there are a lot of really consistent players that have kind of stuck through in their jungler, Pyro, and their ADC or Deer Vista.
Yeah, and I do want to talk about their jungler and their bot lane a bit, because Pyro and their jungler here, did really well and was known for the early gameplay he could sort of exert here, the pressure he could put down and help getting the lanes to snowball. And that was one of the reasons, one of the ways they won against Rock Tribe just last week, where they 2-1 them here. Their bot lane as well, Dear Vista and Zumin, they were the lane that really won and kind of started to take over the game a little bit here. So the fact that their solo lanes have switched up bothers me less, I think, considering that the way they won was through the people who are here at their jungle and bot lane.
Yep, I think we're having a bit of issues in getting the draft on your screen, but I believe you're seeing it now. A reminder that we are just going to be looking at the client draft to start off, so that they will be picking in position order. But right off the bat, RMC, the one thing that kind of remained consistent is that early lock-in in that top side for Striking Vipers in that Renekton Italy.
Yeah, and in the actual draft law that we did manage to catch a little bit of, that was a lock-in. I think it makes sense, right? Pyrowan's really good on this Nidalee, and you can see from the bans. The bans are right. Xin Zhao and Diana were taken off right off the bat. Viego was first pick. So that's your trifecta of junglers taken off the board right away. And then you can sort of fall back on these comfort champions. Nidalee does need lanes to enable her. And Renekton Nidalee, that's just such a strong combo. The problem is, though, Grapes, that they got countered by Amundo. And Renekton Nidalee works because Renekton can point and click stun someone to guarantee the spear landing. Mundo's passive completely nullifies that, and now that Renekton Nidalee combo is not going to be as impactful.
Yeah, and that was a really smart pickup here for Rock Tribe. You mentioned earlier that Klonk Grong is very comfortable on this Mundo, playing some more weak side oriented champions. And so when you see that kill threat of the Renekton Nidalee all immediately shot up, definitely not surprised to see him lock in that Mundo for some extra sustainability and some survivability in the top lane. So the team comps have already been set up, and there's a lot that we have to take a look at here, RMC.
Yeah, because while we might not know the exact draft order, we can certainly look at how these teams operate. I'm going to start with Rock Tribe on the blue side here, because it feels like they did get themselves quite a few high prio picks as well as comfort champions. The Viego, of course, that we talked about being the top of that trifecta. The resets are going to be absolutely nasty, and I love the fact that they paired it with this Ashe and this Syndra here along with the Karma. Syndra gets you the ability to just execute someone right off the bat. And the moment you get an execute, the Heartbreakers coming in from Viego, that's an execute that can go on repeat as well. So it does a lot of damage that you steal away people. And you look over to the side of Striking Vipers Maestro, they're mostly squishy for the most part. So if you kill that Nidalee, you kill that Silas or that Ezreal fairly early on, that's just going to let Ray really pop off here. And that Ashe for Vark, the utility he brings in this bot lane here, I especially like it into compositions with an Ezreal or an Nidalee where they might want to get some poke down. Against an Ashe, you don't get to poke. They get to fire an arrow from anywhere on the map. And if you're shorter range, if you can poke them, they can land that arrow and the fight kicks off. So you won't be able to get that poke down quite as much here. Rock Tribe have themselves a lot of tools to enable their composition to get these picks, get these objectives early on.
Yeah, and as we take a look at Summoner's Rift here, super excited to get into game one, round one of the NorQuest Esports series. But before we get on to the Rift, we got to thank a little bit more of our sponsors here. This tournament here is brought to you by Explore Edmonton. 1 million plus Edmontonians call Alberta's capital their home. They're entrepreneurs, experts, and hosts that can help turn your opportunities into reality. Famous for our festivals, lively arts, and music scene, and sprawling picture as River Valley, we offer much more than just places for your delegates to eat, sleep, and be entertained. Find out more at exploreedmonton.com. And RMC, I know you're a fellow Canadian here in this tournament. I'm kind of the intruder here down in the States, but I mean, there's a lot of really great things that NorQuest has set up for us here.
Yeah, for sure. You're not an intruder. You're a neighbor, Graves. You're just across the border, and our borders are open to Americans to come in, right? So it's all good. Glad you can join us here. Well, Grapes, NorQuest has bought us many, many good things, great things, you know, including all these teams, including a $5,000 prize pool, I believe, for this Champions Tournament. Total $7,500 if we include the Contenders Division as well. And this is the upper circuit. It is going to be very competitive. We talked a bit about Rock Tribe. Let's talk about the Maestros here, because we haven't touched on their composition too much. We touched on the Renekton Nidalee and the fact that it's not going to work the same way, but it's still going to be prio, right? Viego takes some time to come online. Nidalee can pop up very early here. So I'm expecting to see Pyrowan play aggressively, try and punish this Viego while you still can. The bot lane, Ezreal Lulu, is going to be fairly hands-off, especially into the likes of an Ashe Karma, where you do get a ton of poke all across. The poke that comes off an Ashe Karma outdoes Lulu Ezreal, and you've got better range on it as well here. So I expect to see the bot lane for Maestros be fairly passive. The mid lane, though, there is kill threat from a Sylas onto the Syndra. And the fun thing about stealing away a Syndra ultimate is that you still use the Dark Spheres that Syndra puts down. So if she ults you and you don't die, you can just turn right back around and ult her. And you'll have even more spheres coming out, even more damage. And it becomes a very volatile matchup. Pause 2 is going to struggle a little bit in this one. If you don't kill the Sylas right off the bat, the Sylas is probably going to kill you.
Yeah, and while the Syndra has been a beneficiary of some recent buffs, still has the ability to get countered here. We typically have seen it as a counter pick to some of these marksman champions like the Tristana and the Lucian in the mid lane, but now seeing it blinded, we're going to see Phoenix on this Sylas to try and turn this matchup around for the Maestros. And talking a little bit again about this top side here for Striking Vipers, you have this Renekton Nidalee combo. I mean, are you expecting them to still focus it really hard with that Mundo in the top lane?
I do expect to see still attention being paid to the top side. So the way Mundo works right now is Mundo is still very tanky. If anything, he's got even more health, but he's deceptively tanky because Mundo will actually lose health more quicker now than he used to. His passive allows him to sort of ignore one piece of hard CC, but it costs him health. It costs him, I think, about roughly 10 or 7% of his current health. So if you do put down the CC, it definitely will chunk him out. And while Renekton might not be able to stun him up, each of those stuns is still going to hurt.
We may have some technical difficulties. Not sure if I can... Hello? RMC.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Okay. Looks like I got dropped out there.
Do you not have anything to say about this? I feel like you...
I mean, Mundo goes where Mundo pleases. What else is there? Well, no, realistically, I think this matchup for the Renekton into the Mundo isn't terrible. You won't be able to bully out the Mundo quite as effectively, but you still get to put quite a bit of damage down. Yes, you can't stun up the Mundo, but every time you try and stun him, that's 7% of his health. So that damage will still stick here. And I expect to see Pyroan just go top. If you can get Ethan Viper a lead here with this Renekton, he can take over a lane. But I would like to see attention paid into the mid lane a little bit more, because like we said, if the Sylas gets ahead, Syndra can't really play into it.
We are on to the Rift for Game 1 here in the NorQuest Esports Series. Rock Tribe, as mentioned before, will be on your blue side, while Striking Vipers Maestros will be on your red side. RMC, we got a whole lot of fun League of Legends action here. Hope you are all here ready to go. Sit back, relaxing, and maybe cracking open a nice cold drink. We're thankful to have Pepsi supporting the NorQuest Esports Series this weekend. Try Pepsi Zero Sugar with some great taste without any of those pesky calories. Starting off in this level 1, not too much is really forming up. We saw Trivia Boy go for a little bit of poke, but that was basically it.
Yeah, I am. I was hoping for a little bit more level 1 action. Grapes, just in case you're not aware of this, I love level 1 action. I know I'm a color caster. I should be looking at the strategic side of things. So I just love it when teams kind of just try and make things happen at level 1. Neither team has a great level 1, though. We're not seeing a ton of hard CC, but still would be fun. We're getting to see Clog just in the jungle. Mundo goes where Mundo pleases. And this does mean that the junglers will be starting on opposite sides of the map here. So Ray should have a bit of a safer start, shouldn't have to contest that scuttle against Pyrolin's early Nidalee.
Yeah, and that's probably something that Rock Tribe was looking for. Nidalee obviously having a whole lot of early game priority, especially in terms of her dueling potential. So as we see these junglers kind of go towards the opposite sides of the map, not always the best thing for a Viego to be starting on the blue buff, but you'll be more than happy without having to face the wrath of Pyroan early on in the game. But with this Nidalee starting bot side, opens up a lot of possibilities for an early gank up top.
And we already spoke about the fact that for Pyroan, you're top, you're mid. That's where you're really looking. Bot lane, not so much here. But we should also talk a bit about Ray, because Ray on this Viego is not necessarily an early jungler, but depending on how your lanes go, you have a lot of gank assist. Ashe can lock down a target for you. And mid lane, we're already seeing Pause to bully early out with this range into melee matchup. And Phoenix is definitely low enough for Ray to try and get an early gank off.
Oh, but instead, we're going to be seeing some action here, potentially around the bottom side jungle, or potentially in the mid lane. We see Pause opened up a little bit too far, and here comes Pyroan in on the gank. A nice guy of the week will stun up Phoenix, but Pyroan's going to come in, land the spear, but here comes Ray Leon, the Lion, strikes down his prey in the mid lane, and takes down the enemy jungler, but looks like Phoenix could be the next target, but instead, going to dash out with the abscond, and after all of that, 1-0 over to Rock Tribe.
Okay, Grapes. The Nidalee ends up going down early to the Viego, and credit to Pause 2, because it's really the Syndra that set everything up. The fact that Pause 2 got ganked, did not even burn Flash, was so patient, knew exactly how much damage he could take, and he stood there dumping all that out. Ray just flashed it and got a huge freebie. And it's huge because this Viego is going to be a little bit accelerated. Normally, Nidalee will just completely out-jungle the Viego. Isn't going to happen this time.
Yeah, and immediately, accelerating that Viego is one of the win conditions here for Rock Tribe. And as you see him pathing towards his bot side, it's been Vark and Trivia Boy getting the early pressure in this bot lane. RMC, you talked about this a little bit in terms of how the Ashe has some more poke, but they're definitely putting it to good use here.
Yeah, and it's not just about the Ashe either. Karma also adds a lot. You outrange the Lulu, so in the support game, you already have a bit of an advantage here. And for the Ezreal, Vista did not start here, which means that he is going to have mana issues trying to poke out, even trying to farm. And for the Ezreal, that's fine. You're just kind of trying to hold even a little bit. They're trying to turn it around, but they should be fine. The shields from the Karma right now, and the poke just feels so much more impactful than the Lulu.
Yeah, definitely. And all things considered, especially towards this bot side, things are looking very good for Rock Tribe to start off their tournament here, up about 1,000 gold at the 4-minute mark. That first blood for Ray, definitely doing a whole lot. And top lane has been left pretty much on that island without Pyroin having the ability to go for any super aggressive ganks after falling in that early exchange mid.
Now we might see another gank potentially into the mid lane. Pyro1 is sneaking there and wasn't spotted by anything here. I think he's just waiting for the stun.
Oh, the chain will land at max rank. Will flashed away from the spear, but a really good gank coming out from this Nidalee Sylas duo, which also has a decent amount of crowd control to help Pyro1 land some of those spears in the mid lane.
And the thing with the Sylas is that unfortunately your little mini stun doesn't last anywhere near enough. So Pyro1, you burn the flash. That's good. Now without the flash, if you predict that spear and that little bit of a knockup or stun will give you enough time to try and narrow down where your spear has to land. I want to see another repeat gank on this flashless Syndra, who is very vulnerable, especially once that Sylas, hits level 6.
Yeah, and it looks like Phoenix does need a decent amount of help here in this mid lane. That early exchange that happened to give Rock Tribe that first blood has definitely put this Sylas a bit behind, and looks like Pyro1 knows it. He's headed back to the mid lane. Pause does have the wave pushed up, but Ray Leon is here on the chase. The Spirit's going to land. The Unleashed Power is available on Pause. He will fall, but here comes Ray Leon on the chase. Does have the Sheen, so he has a lot of damage coming out of the Blade of the Ruined King. Pyro1 is ticked down so low. Will the minions end up doing it? He heals up just enough with that summoner spell and the red buff to keep himself alive, and at the end of the day, it's just a 1 for 0 in favor of the Maestros.
What was that, 20-something health? It was
close.
I was waiting for the heal from Nidalee, but I think Pyro just didn't have it available. And Pause 2 actually hit 6 first. So Phoenix did not have the hijack available to steal it away. You saw how close it got, and despite winning that, they have now lost control of the dragon. Usually, Grapes, what we see is around that 6-7 minute mark, somebody gets a pick, they rotate the dragon, getting that immediately. Didn't happen here because they were too low. Teleport not available for Phoenix as well. And Cloud Drake being picked up, I actually think Cloud Drake is the most impactful early game Drake, because at rank 1, ultimates take forever to come back on. They're like 2 minutes on average for ultimates. You take that ultimate ability haste and you shrink that, and it has the highest impact on that rank 1 ultimate. Later on, it matters less because the cooldown reduces as you put more points into it.
Yeah, and especially considering how volatile some of these lanes are, RMC. Just looking at even the mid lane, if you can get that Unleash power up on just a bit of a shorter cooldown here for Pause 2, it allows you to stay a little bit safer in the mid lane, kind of deters Phoenix from going in super aggressively on this Sylas. And so far, it looks like things, other than that early death, have been working out pretty well for him, up about 25 CS. But up in the top side, the lane that we were expecting a lot of action from, RMC, not getting as much as really either of us were anticipating, but at the end of the day, it's still about a 15 CS lead here for Ethan Viper, and looks like they're gonna try to make it more with Pyro1 and Zumin coming in on the potential dive. Klonkrong Song does have the ultimate available, but the healing is not gonna be too much rank 1. Pyro1's gonna dash in and secure that kill. Ethan Viper not even needed for that one, as now another one going over to Striking Vipers.
Not even needed? More like Ethan was desperately trying to get in there. Even popped the Dominus to dive through the turret and didn't get the assist. Gotta
That's the
feel
worst
bad
feeling.
for him. Yeah. And the funny, I found it hilarious because they saw the rotation of Pyroan and Zeman through mid lane. Pyroan might be caught here.
Oh, potentially. There's
Us?
4 members of Rock Tribe here, and it looks like the Maestros are just going to leave this Nidalee to die. Let's see who gets the last hit. Going to be Pause, which is very valuable on this mid laner, Syndra. And with the jungler down, 8 minutes into the game, looking towards that Rift Herald, but an exchange of ultimates has been made in the bot side. Dear Vista and Vark have kind of been left alone with the supports on the roams, and looks like they both get chunked out pretty low, but it's just going to be Vista shoving this wave in and trying to get some damage onto the turret.
A lot to unpack there, Graves. Let's start with that top side movement. So I was saying that I was surprised because they saw Pyroan and Zeman just cutting through mid lane there, and Klonk did not back off. Klonk, in fact, walked into the bush, and you just can't face check there. Yes, they denied it away from Ethan, which is actually pretty big because this Renekton already had a bit of a minor lead in lane. The problem is what happens after. Pyroan not leaving immediately. I mean, you already got the kill. Taking the Gromp just felt a little too greedy there. It does get collapsed, and they end up trading 1-for-1. This bot side, though, Ashe is strong early. When you don't really have the items, when you've just got a couple of levels, a couple of points, you trade better. But remember how I was talking about that tier start?
Yeah.
Ezreal now has that tier, has that sheen. And now in the 1v1, Ezreal will be able to take on that Ashe until we start seeing Mythics come through. And then once the Mythics come through, Ashe can win extended fights, but we'll start losing trades to an Ezreal who is running Divine Sunder or Essence Reaper.
Well, it looks like Pyroan might be looking for another gank here in the mid lane. Flash is about to come off cooldown here for Pause 2, so if the Maestros want to do anything, they're going to have to do it quickly. Here comes the chains, just going to miss, which means that Pause will get out with his life.
Expending so much focus from the side of Maestros into this mid lane. They really want to shut Pause 2 down, but look at Pause 2 CS. He's still up CS, and all those ganks into the mid lane is just buying Ray more time to get CS, to get ganks off in other lanes instead.
Yeah, and I mean, Rock Tribe know it. They are sending a decent amount of resources to try and encounter the sort of heavy pressure that the Striking Vipers have put into the mid lane, but at the end of the day, things work out better for Rock Tribe because if things don't go the Vipers' way, it's just going to be Pause getting that early CS advantage, and now it looks like it might be a gank here onto Phoenix. The Heartbreaker forward will secure the kill for Ray Leon, but here come the teleports on the other side. Ethan Viper gonna go for the flash stun, and the final Call of the Meek will secure the kill onto Pause. Now it's Trivia Boy and Ray Leon on the run. True Shot Barrage not going to hit, but here comes Zeman, has the flash, has the polymorph to potentially try to re-engage. The spear will get dodged away from Trivia Boy. No summoners available on the Renekton, so gonna be hard to gap close, and after all that, big trades, just the mid laner is going to be falling here. Bot lane, though, oh my goodness, here's the heal from Vark. The final auto is not enough, but the minions will secure the kill. Call them Minions RMC as your allies help take down the Ashe. And now, Trivia Boy might be in a bit of trouble too. You can't walk onto the tower like this. Here comes 3 members of Striking Vipers here to potentially seal the deal onto the Karma. Might take a little bit as they wait for the wave to crash in, but Trivia Boy is not long for this world. Nobody on Rock Tribe comes for the reinforcements, and that is 2 quick kills onto Dear Vista and this bottom lane.
No one on the Rock side could come as reinforcements, Graves. There were no teleports available, unfortunately, there, and just really well played from the Maestros. They conducted that perfectly there, and Vark and Trivia Boy just needed to know when to back off. We already knew that the Ashe wasn't going to be able to win those fights till first Mythics come through, much less in a massive minion wave there. They did get some plates on top to try and get Klonk ahead here, but it's scant comfort when you lost 2 kills, and now you're about to lose Infernal Drone.
Yeah, it looks like Rock Tribe is making some sort of play around that top side to try and counter that dragon pickup here for Striking Vipers, but getting some plates into the Mundo isn't necessarily the most impactful thing. Ethan Viper still ahead in CS as he's made his way mid to support Phoenix on this mid lane, as he kind of had a bit of a lane swap here, but things aren't really working out for Ethan Viper here. He's getting constantly poked out and is going to have to force an early recall here with the wave in an even state.
Yeah, interesting decision there, and I think it has to do with the teleport, the fact that Phoenix has teleport and Ethan didn't. Ray Leon found the flank.
Yeah, Phoenix now on the top side, still gonna get ganked here by Ray Leon. Steals away the Heartbreaker to try and get over the wall, but Ray Leon could do the same thing if he wants. Arrow's gonna miss on the bot side, but Trivia Boy is gonna come in with that inner flame. Rooted up is Dear Vista, and the final tick will come from the Ignite as the shutdown goes over to the Karma.
Yes, the Ezreal did get the Divine Sunder, but that is still a 2v1. Trivia Boy taken
Pyro in.
fairly low, though. Exactly. Can they? They should be able to find this. Zoomin's coming down as well.
They got the plate, which is probably all they bargained for, but might have to pay a little bit more for their troubles. The Wild Growth knocks up two. Pyrowin gonna get the final hit. Zumin is the one to secure the kill onto Vark, and now it's Trivia Boy on the run once again. No flash, does have the shields to try and get away, but it's not gonna happen. Double kill over to Zumin as the support for Striking Vipers picks up 2 kills with the help of Pyrowin.
This bot lane for Rock Tribe is not working out, Graves. Remember, we said that Maestros, their bot lane, this is the bot lane that did manage to beat Rock Tribe. And it was this bot lane which showed them the way. They're continuing to do that right now. This Ashe, this Karma, sure, you have a lot of utility even when you're behind, but you don't want to be giving this Ezreal this many kills early on. This Nidalee getting her ahead before this Pyrowin was not in a great situation. I think they're 2-2-1. Picked up 2 more assists in this bot lane here. Zoomin picking up the kills is not ideal, but you take whatever you can get. It's still elite.
Vista might be in a bit of trouble. Gonna Arcane Shift out, but Vark almost has that arrow off of cooldown. Here comes Ray Leon as well. Gonna be a 3v2 in the bot side. Arrow will get dodged away from. Gonna get slowed up, by the volley. And looks like Dear Vista is just gonna be able to walk out and throw a couple of Mystic shots out on his way.
Okay, Grapes, we've, I think, got a bit of a moment. There's been a lot of action in the early game right now, and Paul's actually going to eat another spear, but no one else to follow up. Let's take a quick moment here to assess how the teams are running. Rock Tribe, we said they had a lot of pick tools, and ideally, they would have wanted to get ahead with this Syndra, with this Ashe Karma on the bot side, and Clonk would probably fall behind, Ray would scale up. They are only halfway there right now. The Ashe Karma has not worked out, but Pause 2 is still very strong. There is still a lot of pick potential here, and they need to set up for these picks. They've got the vision to do it. They just need to make sure Pause and Ray are there. That is your pick combo. For the side of Maestros, they're happy to scale. Silas will scale. Ezreal will scale up as well. And the issue right now is more Ethan and Phoenix don't have great lane matchups. Phoenix is down massively, and Ethan has lost the early lead that he had against Clonk. It's kind of been evened up. And that Mundo will outscale your Renekton a little bit here. So they need to find a way to salvage these lanes. And I think it's about moving that Ezreal up. Pyroan on this Nidalee has been trying to find kills in the mid lane, and it really hasn't worked. If you can't find it with one ganker, why not bring up 2 or even 3?
Well, right now it's going to be Pyrowin going for a red buff steal. There were pings on the side of Rock Tribe, so they know that this exchange is happening, and it looks like they're going to try to collapse. Pyrowin and Zumin are here, but so are Ray Leon, and so is Paz. First tower on the other side, though, with the pressure in that bottom side jungle, will go over to Dear Vista, who has had a very strong laning phase against Vark, who has been a really strong player for Rock Tribe. In one of their first series against Striking Vipers, he absolutely popped off. In 3 games, went 25, 5, and 21. So is definitely capable of carrying some of these games, just hasn't had the opportunity to yet.
And I want to note the CS for Vark here. Yes, Vark has died twice. And yes, Dear Vista and Zoomin are up 2 kills apiece here. But the CS numbers are still very, very even. Vark's been able to make sure that he doesn't fall too far behind in that particular aspect. And despite the fact that first turret went down, the gold's actually really even between the teams. And kills are not the best indicator of game state.
Yeah, definitely not. And this game is still super dead even. Vark gets chunked out very low off of that play there from Striking Vipers. Actually pops the Immortal Shield, though. Will be a big cooldown with that Ocean Dragon spawning in less than 10 seconds. Both sides are going to make their way over towards this objective. Teleports are available for both of the top laners as they go to try and have some sort of play here. The spears from Pyrowin, though, are massive. Look at that, half HP already onto Ray Leon. And he's one of the strongest members here on Rock Tribe, with the jungler tanked down to that level of HP. Just going to be Striking Vipers, picking up this Ocean Dragon for some more healing to their name.
The moment those 2 spears land, Rock Tribe can't fight this. Even with the spear landing on Vark, it was already going to be very dicey. Phoenix taking away that enchanted crystal arrow as well. So Vark, you get to shoot an arrow, and then they'll just match you. They disengage right away. And because Maestro's had the inner track as well, there's really no way Rock Tribe can contest that. I respect that they back off, but they do have to be careful they don't let that keep happening. It's close.
It was close. Phoenix with that hijacked enchanted crystal arrow almost went for a taste of their own medicine here in the mid lane, but instead, just going to be a bit of a whiff. Vark will get out with his life and instead have a bit more of a standstill here as we hit the 18-minute mark of this game.
Right. As we hit the 18-minute marks, Mythic's coming in for everybody except for the supports at this point in time. Rock Tribe, they are in a pretty good position actually here to fight if they want to. And now I'm watching for Vark's Enchanted Crystal Arrow. It is up and available, and it's their safest, consistent engage tool here. You fire it, if it misses, you walk away. If you find a pick, you find a kill. And there's nobody who has a cleanse on the other side, so whoever gets tagged by it, even if you're a tanky member like Renekton, you can still kill him. Clonk?
Up in the top side, Clonk might get caught out here for a gank, but here comes a teleport, gonna be from Paz too, and Ray Leon is on the other side as well as Trivia Boy. Big scout of the week coming out from Paz, and it looks like Ethan Viper's the first casualty in this fight. Ray Leon picks it up and gets that engagement here, gonna stun up and dash in, and doesn't look like anyone's gonna die just yet under the tower.
Go.
Down goes Pyrewin as Clonk Gronk Zonk will pick it up, but here comes the chase. Still continuing. Dear Vista's gonna dash in, look for a kill, not gonna find anything just yet, and on the other side we'll finally get one onto Trivia Boy, but Phoenix dies in the process. Dear Vista's in a bit of a weird situation with multiple members surrounding him. Zuman goes down, and oh no, it's gonna be one kill going over onto Clonk, but now it's Ray Leon in a bit of a bad position here. We'll see what happens in this exchange.
Oh no.
Oh, the blast cone in, and whoa, there goes the kill. Dear Vista will pick it up.
At the end of the day, a 4 for 3. But Vista, my goodness, was the one picking up, I believe, a triple kill on the back end of that Grapes. And this Ezreal, which only had a small lead before, has now completely popped off. And the landscape of the game has changed. The question for Rock Tribe now is, how do you deal with this Ezreal? Who are you going to send after him? Mundo has to walk in the front door. Viego's having problems getting creative gank paths here. And Pause 2 now has to hold that unleashed power. If you cannot burst out that Ezreal right away at the beginning of the fight, MAESTROS can just repeat what they did. Vista can 1v3, 1v4.
It's a bit of a pause there. Apologies to everyone who didn't really see what happened there in that fight. Having a bit of an issue here with the observer client here. I was kind of just honestly calling the fight, like just looking at the minimap and seeing where the players were going, the kills going down. I didn't actually really see what was going on, but we are going to get that sorted out. But this game is still very, very close. As even though that fight was like kind of an eventual ace, it looked like Striking Vipers and especially Dear Vista on the Ezreal are starting to get the ball rolling.
Yeah, I'd agree with that here. The MAESTROS have a lead right now, and they kind of had a lead even going into that particular fight. So I actually think it's more that Rock Tribe is starting to use their composition a little bit better here. You know, using those initiates, finding those picks, and the resets from Ray Leon. Yes, Ray did go down at the end, but look how deep he chased. On the mini map, you could see how deep he chased.
I saw him go forward. He was like, I saw him like in the base. I was a bit confused why he was like all the way under there, but eventually ended up dying, I think. So, yeah, I mean that was a pretty big play from Rock Tribe. They just really decided to just full send it there in the top lane.
Hey, I mean they did win that fight. Yeah. They are actually up in terms of that here. So hopefully, I mean, we are trying to fix the production issues. There is a chance, and I'm hoping that it comes through, that we get to see that fight all over again from the beginning of it, because it was, looking at the minimap, it was nutty. And I want to see how Ray ended up chasing all the way in and how he got all the way in there. I also want to see how Vista turned that, because I know theoretically how an Ezreal wins all of that, and it's just kiting around and not getting hit. But he did that without burning any summoners, so I think that's pretty massive and worth a rewatch for sure.
Yeah, and once again, apologize for the pause. Having a bit of trouble just kind of with the observer client. Okay, here we are. I think the fight has already happened in this, but another one already. Oh my goodness, the big shadow lead coming out from Pause, and immediately off of that delay in the game, Ray Leon picks the kill with the Heartbreaker. Gonna dash forward here with another proc of the ultimate, pick up a second. Now Pyrewin is on the run. Ray Leon is gonna try and chase for more, sitting at 8-1-2 after all of that. Gonna use a second ultimate proc forward here onto Pyrewin as well, but Phoenix is here to try and, you know, support him just a little bit. So we're starting to see this Viego scale up RMC, and they looks like they picked up a Baron as well off of that exchange. So things are looking very good for Rock Tribe at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, Ray didn't even need to be there to smite. He was just zoning off 2 members there. And Rock Tribe, I don't know what happened in that little break we have, but they are well and truly ahead. I said they kind of won the fight because it was 4v3 before that. They definitely won this one. That was a 3-0 with Baron. And there are standing turrets. Inner turrets are worth more gold as well, these side inner turrets. And I don't think you can defend them. Phoenix desperately trying to push top side, try and earn some ground somewhere on the map.
Kevin, with that, Rock Tribe pick up that second Ocean Dragon as well. So the soul counter is even right now at 2-2, and which means that we won't be seeing any sort of soul like win condition in the near future. But at this point, I don't even know. Rock Tribe kind of are in the driver's seat at this point. Not sure if they're even going to need a soul to close out this game.
It's so hard to say, Crepes. I didn't get to see the fights. I mean, if we go by the fights, if we assume that the fights were played at an equal level from both these teams, then yes, Rock Tribe should be in a great position right now to sort of close things out. They've got a decent siege here for themselves. Syndra is actually very threatening on a siege because she has one of the longest range stuns in the game with that Scatter of the Week. Phoenix, though, might be getting caught out here.
Yep, down in the bot side. It's going to be Ray Leon looking for that. Phoenix gets away at about half HP. And this is the last outer turret that is still alive here for Rock Tribe. So makes sense for them to kind of go down here. They know that they're not going to be able to get any parts of the base with this Baron power play. So just try to get as much standing gold as you can. Get that lead up further and just get ready for some of these next fights. Because if... I mean, the kill score went up a decent amount, so I have a good feeling that the remaining fights are going to be bloody. Dear Vista, nice arcane shift out.
Yeah, it's a little bit hard to tag an Ezreal, even if he doesn't run cleanse, just because of that arcane shift. Now, I do want to point out that Baron has worn out as well. So I think they got 2 turrets off that Baron push for the side of Rock Tribe. Not the most efficient Baron here, and it concerns me a little bit because despite having decent siege tools, if you can only get that 1 outer turret, or I think it was 1 outer and 1 inner turret throughout the entire Baron push, then you're going to struggle to break the inhibitor, those base turrets. And those are the important turrets that you need to crack. All these inner outer turrets at 25 minutes into the game, that's just gold for the most part and a little bit of map control. The winning condition is still taking down inhibitors.
Looks like they're going to try and get closer to this inhibitor in the bottom lane as Rock Tribe have sent 4 members down to this bottom lane tier 2. Here comes that True Shot Barrage, going to do a nice bit of chunk onto the carries of Rock Tribe. Everfrost forward from Phoenix will not find a target, and the shields coming out from Trivia Boy are starting to really take hold here. Has the Moonstone Renewer as well, working towards that Chemtech Putrefier to make sure that all the healing that they're getting with the Ocean Dragons, with the champions, not going to be as much.
I wonder if we see Serpent's Fang here come out from Vista sometime soon. Stun lands.
Oh, not gonna get a Serpent's Fang if you're dead. Vista getting one shot. The short-range arrow, from Vark was enough to lock down the Ezreal with enough time to finish off the health bar. And with that pick, Rock Tribe take the bottom lane inner turret, and only 1 more remains up top.
That was brutal to watch. Oh my goodness, Graves. But that's what happens when there's a Syndra on the other team, right? We've been seeing the Syndra have to deal with Nidalee, with Silas, with Renekton, a lot of tankier members. But for the Ezreal, Arcane Shift will not save you from Unleashed Power, and you are rather squishy here. Saruda's Grudge now completed from this Ezreal. Again, it's not going to save you. That arrow comes out from anywhere on the map. Again, the Scatter of the Weak, longer range than the Mystic Shot as well, or equal range to that Mystic Shot. It's very dicey now, and I need to start seeing Maestros group up a little bit. They are getting picked, it looks like, and even in those fights, if we recall back to what we did manage to see, it was a numbers disadvantage for Maestro. Vista was late to the play as well, and you need to have Vista there for the damage, and Vista needs bodies to block for him in these fights as well.
Yeah, and it's a weird situation for Vista to be in because you're talking about survivability, but he also has 5 kills, RMC. He is the main carry here of the Striking Vipers Maestros team. So the question is, do you go for more damage or do you go for survivability?
Oh no!
Might need to be the latter here. The Wild Growth once again, but the Flash W from Ray Leon is too big. And now he comes forward as Dear Vista. Going to try to get the Heartbreaker forward. Not going to be able to kill Zoom in here, but a big fight once again from Rock Tribe as they pick off the ADC for the 2nd time in a row.
Baron just spawned, Grapes. It literally just came up as that fight was happening, and they just fended off one Baron. They barely lost any turrets.
Oh.
Great job. Can you do it again? Pyrowan should be safe here. Does manage to dodge out. And I think if you're at the side of Maestros here, you can't do anything. Go set up for Dragon instead here. You need to be there because you don't want to be giving up Baron and Dragon with just no answer.
Yeah, and Rock Tribe does not do this Baron all too quickly, so it looks like the Dragon will have spawned by the time the Baron has been finished off, as both of them spawn and die at the exact same time, but Zok is here to try and stall out this timer for just a little bit. Does have the infected cleavers, but not going to be a big steal mechanic. It will be the smite going through for Pyro, and now the question is, can the Vipers escape with their lives? It looks like Rock Tribe is going for a flank. Here comes the teleport. Going to come in from
cutting them off.
And they have been cut off, RMC. Ethan Viper's popped dominance already, but Zok is very tanky in the front line. Arrow is going to land onto the Silas, and he will fall immediately. Pyrowan and Zoomin are on the run, but they're running the wrong way. Clonk will pick up one. Vark landing the arrows in and help the Mundo pick up a second. It's a 3-for-0 for the side of Rock Tribe, as they have the Baron buff and they have a wave. They're going to push towards this bottom lane. Vista dodges away from the Scout of the Week, but going to be a tough task for him and Ethan Viper to keep this game alive.
Ethan Viper needs to be in front of Vista right now here, or Vista's just going to drop. They're trying to block them, but you can't. It's Baron. This is a Baroned up team. You've lost 3 members. Ethan Viper, where are you going?
He's got to go now. The death timers are too long. Zoomin is respawning in 5 seconds. The first Nexus tower is already dead. Tribute is in a bit of danger. Going to flash forward, but the unleash power from Paz just one-shots the Ezreal and one-shots the potential for Striping Vipers to get a hold of this game. 29 minutes in, have bought enough time for the rest of the Vipers to respawn. Pyrowan and Phoenix are going to have to do the damage here, but the Scout of the Week will land onto Phoenix once more. So much damage coming out from Paz 2 once again. Ray Leon is looking to try and go for that re-engage. Does have the Heartbreaker, can look for the resets, and now the Nexus has been exposed. Pyrowan dashing in, popping his Zhonya's. Paz is low, but he's in a safe position. Ray Leon gets his first possession of the fight. Will try to make it another. Phoenix is going to get stunned up by the ultimate, and it's a double kill for Ray Leon. Can he make it 3? Going to look for the chains under the fountain, but not going to land, probably for his own good. The Nexus falls, and Rock Tribe take the first game here in the NorQuest Esports series.
Well, Grapes, things certainly accelerated quickly. The early game was so even, and then we go off screen literally for a couple of minutes. We come back and Rock Tribe just suddenly have the Vipers by the throat there, and it was not even close. I want to highlight how Vista died that last time there, and it was literally Paz just landing a single stun and 100-0 Ezreal with that unleashed power. And when you hit that point, you know you're in trouble. You need to build some form of magic resistance, because sure, Ethan can try and body block all he wants with this Renekton. You can't body block a Syndra. All those abilities will go through and hit multiple targets. Scatter the Weak can stun multiple people. Dark Spear hurts multiple people. Unleashed power cannot be blocked. So that is definitely an issue. And I think going forward here, Striking Vipers Maestro, they're really going to feel this loss, because we already said these two teams know each other well. They've played each other a lot. And on paper, they should be neck and neck. It should not be a 21-11 game.
Yeah, and not even that. These teams are very evenly seated as well, and they're right towards that middle, right towards the threshold of getting into playoffs. So with the Maestros taking this loss, going to be a bit harder for them to make their way back up, try to clinch one of those top 8 seeds for the quarterfinals. And as we are in a Swiss format, going to have to wait a little bit to just try to get ready for the next opponent for Striking Vipers, but they have a lot to kind of take a look at. I think Vista had a very strong Ezreal game until some of the picks started to come through. But on the side of Rock Tribe, I mean, they played that really well. Ray Leon had a great game on the Viego.
Oh, for sure. And for teams facing against Rock Tribe now, they're going to have to be thinking about how do we deal with this team here. You've got the meta bans, right? The Xin Zhao, the Viego, the Diana that you still have to pay attention to against Ray. But this Ashe for Vark was absolutely massive. I cannot overstate how impactful those Enchanted Crystal arrows were. They weren't even necessarily the primary engage. They were follow-up. We saw, stun coming out from Ray. Instantly, Enchanted Crystal Arrow comes up to follow. Scatter the Weak lands, Enchanted Crystal Arrow comes up to follow. And he can do it from anywhere on the map. Paz dominated that lane as well on this Syndra. We talked about the fact that early on, Syndra beat Silas. Unquestionably, it's that range versus melee matchup. But post 6, Silas is supposed to come online. Silas never came online. Pause was just dominating and just finding kills on the Nidalee, 1v2ing the Nidalee Silas, finding insta-kills onto Vista as well. So many things that teams will have to take note of coming into Rock Tribe.
Yeah, and with that in mind, we really don't know who's playing who. Rock Tribe going 1-0 in this group. They're going to be playing somebody with a similar record, so they'll have a chance to try and match up and prove that their win wasn't any sort of fluke. On the other side, Striking Vipers are going to try and get back into even footing here in the NorQuest Esports series. We're going to take a quick break.